Joining us now is Dr Calum Miller, a medical doctor and researcher at Oxford University. Dr Miller, welcome. You take a different view. What is your view of this law that's come into force in Texas?
Yes, well, I think what we've seen over the last 50 years is that people across the Western world, especially in countries with really radical abortion laws up to birth, such as in the US, have really come to see that these laws are too radical for the public to accept, and in particular for women to accept. So opinion polling does show that generally women are more pro-life and more supportive of these sorts of laws than men are. And I think that's partly as a result of the scientific developments that we've seen over the last few decades, showing that actually the baby is developed much, much earlier than we think. So although 6 weeks seems like a very early stage in pregnancy, I think that's partly because we're so surprised to learn that the baby's heart does actually develop at just 3 weeks after conception.
Where's your evidence from that women are more pro-life than pro-choice?
Well, for example, there was a Comres poll from 2017 called Where Do They Stand? And in that survey, along a wide variety of dimensions, women supported further limitations and regulations on abortion for their own safety and as a part of a humane and compassionate abortion law. So, for example, women were more likely to support a reduction in the term limit for abortion than men were. And actually, the large majority, 70% of women, thought that the term limit in the UK should be brought down from 24 weeks as a result of scientific developments.
You talk about the heartbeat being present from 3 weeks, but the fetus isn't viable at that point, is it? How comfortable are you as a man telling a woman what she should do with her body, her health?
Well, I think we usually don't think that viability or independence is what gives people their moral value. Most of the people that I treat in hospital would not survive if it weren't for our intervention and for the support that we give them. And the baby is in the same position. Without the support that it's given, it will pass away. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't have moral value and doesn't deserve basic human rights.
But that support is from a woman in whose body that baby has to grow. When is abortion permissible in your view?
Well, as I suggested, most people actually throughout the Western world, in the US and the UK, think that there should be some limit on abortion.
But when do you think, what's your view? When do you believe that abortion should be permissible? Rape, incest, early term abortion? When?
So I think that when the life of the mother is at risk, abortion should be available as a means of separating the baby from the mother to try and save the mother's life. But I think that all human beings are equal, and therefore, as a result, we have to protect human beings at every stage of development, not just the stages of development at which we become comfortable or okay with protecting them.
So you're okay, are you, saying to a woman or a girl who has become pregnant because of rape or incest that she should carry that baby?
Well, I think first we have to realise that these are a very tiny minority of cases.
But that's the question
and they're often
I'm asking.
used as a way of, if you let me finish, sorry. These are a tiny minority of cases, but of course these women do matter and we should give them an answer. Now, what I would say is that the empirical evidence on the psychological outcomes is simply that having an abortion in those terrible, traumatic situations, which we would never want women to be in the first place, having an abortion does not help those women psychologically. And in fact, the evidence we do have suggests that women are psychologically worse off after having an abortion compared to having the unwanted pregnancy continued, and that 96% of women who are refused an abortion end up being glad that they were refused an abortion, according to recent research.
But this legislation in Texas would deny terminations as a result of pregnancy from rape or incest, even in girls who are underage.
As I suggested, this is something that we have to listen to women's voices on and look at the evidence on. Now, women in these rare situations, when we are talking about the tiny minority of abortions, these women will have gone through something absolutely terrible and horrendous, and no woman should ever go through that. And we should be absolutely forthright about saying this is something that should not happen. But the question is, once it has happened, what is the best solution for those women? What is the thing that will most help them to heal from that trauma? And as I said, the empirical evidence and the voices of women, when you listen to their testimonies, is that abortion does not help in these situations. And in many situations, it makes that trauma significantly worse.
But there will be many people watching, many women watching, who have made the difficult decision to have a termination, and for them that was absolutely the right decision. What's your answer to them?
Well, it's true that most women say that they made the right decision when they have the decision to have an abortion. However, the converse is true. As I said, when women are denied an abortion for legal reasons or for any other reason, 96% of those women at least are eventually glad that they had the baby. And so what this means is more that women are able to have a remarkable resilience and an amazing ability to come to terms with their circumstances and welcome new life, even in the most difficult of situations. Now, that's something that I think is a wonderful thing about women, and something that we shouldn't be trying to suggest that they're not capable of doing.
Would you understand if somebody said that they thought that was a terribly patronising attitude? To talk about women's resilience, a man talking about a woman's resilience to cope with a pregnancy that she doesn't want?
I don't think it's patronising to say that women are resilient, no.
OK. Dr Calum Miller, thank you very much for talking to us.